shared with me that it hasn't always been an easy ride for you building your finance career in the manufacturing industry specifically, because you said it's probably still one of the toughest industries for women, still very male-dominated. You shared a couple of examples with me about that and how you still, despite that, been able to have a voice at the table. Do you mind sharing that with us?
Yeah, so I think manufacturing and actually being in Liverpool, a manufacturing environment in Liverpool is fairly unique. So my first job was actually doing the accounts for the chocolate fingers, Cadbury's chocolate fingers line in Liverpool. And, we sat in the factory, with hairnets on and everything, and, went out and up and down the line. And I actually did, as I said, I had a female boss at the time. And I remember, completely green, you're in your early 20s, never really done a finance job before, so, you don't know a lot. And I remember, walking the production line, this production manager comes out of his, little area. Oh, another bit of skirt, thinks she knows what she's talking about. I was just literally first entry into manufacturing, what am I going to do with this? And I remember, going back into the office, and I didn't tell anyone at the time, thinking, what am I going to do? So went home and spoke to my father, and, I had a brother, I'd grown up and not really realised that there was going to be this difference in the workplace. And he just went, well, you'll figure it out. He said, you're tough. He said, and he goes, just go get even with him. I was a bit and, I think Kate said, I'm relatively competitive. And I thought, yeah, God, I'm not going to let him beat me. And I used to see my female boss regularly come into the office in tears, feeling that she'd been bullied. And there was not another single female. There was only the two of us in literally the whole of the finance team. And I thought, right, but it's how do you do that when you don't actually know a lot? So facts and figures are friends. We say it in our team now. Facts, figures, they're your friends, because actually stats and KPIs of how his line was performing, which wasn't very well a lot of the time, kept burning his cookies. And then I was just okay. And then being visible. So I used to walk down the production line and turn it off. He used to come out screaming at me, and I just used to run it off. And I was just it's only going to end up as waste anyway in your waste numbers. So I literally came out fighting. But it sort of worked, because actually you started to get a bit of respect by, well, she's looking at the numbers, my waist is, so actually there started to be a little bit more mutual respect. But having allies in the room, so then when you're going into meetings, building those relationships outside of meetings and actually finding the people that are going to back you in the room when you are, and it doesn't mean you're at the start of your career, but any new role you move into, you're not going to know everything. You're learning the business, but having people that you can sort of talk to outside of the room and sort of say, well, look, I'm seeing this. Am I seeing the right thing? So you can then go in with confidence. I think is sort of critical. So I think, I've got a bit of an edge anyway. But it's probably taken me a bit, like Caroline said, I was probably a bit bull in a china shop when I was younger. And I've definitely learned to taper that. And I agree with Helen as well, training. So, I've gone through conflict management training. I've gone through influencing training, which I think aren't natural skills potentially for finance. But, we deal with the retailers every day, and the retailers can act like bullies. And I think actually that conflict management of knowing, well, I'm going to go in with this, they're going in this, how do I respond in the right way? So, if you do end up in an environment where you think, actually, there's something that's going to really help me in this environment, and then finding people who can, support you in it, I think, is probably how I've got there. And I do a lot of talking even now to my peers. I still get out to site. Behaviours have changed. I agree. Look, behaviours, it's not as difficult an environment. We've got a lot of female engineers. We do a lot of grad schemes to try and get females into the profession. But it's still not the most attractive environment for females.